And welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley, and Nintendo is 100% aware of people's problems getting their hands on a Switch. Believe me, they've heard you. But take comfort, guys. It's not Nintendo's fault, at least according to Nintendo. The general manager of the company's software division, Shinya Takahashi, said as much in a recent interview with French outlet Le Monde, passing the buck off to, well, somebody else, at least. Takahashi said, "I apologize for Switch's shortage, which is unfortunately not our fault. But as our president announced a few days ago, we were able to improve our production line, which means that we will be able to deliver more consoles for the period that is opening up." He's, of course, talking about Nintendo's recent statements that production should be increasing in July and August. The company officially apologized for the lack of Switches and said they would do better. So, how about that NES Classic, Nintendo? That one not going to be your fault either. Yeah, and speaking of Nintendo's unavailable hardware, it looks like some ne'er-do-wells are taking advantage of the still lingering NES Classic mania because people are now getting ripped off by very convincing fake versions of the mini console. These versions are starting to show up on Chinese sites like AliExpress and Alibaba, as well as eBay. They actually look quite a bit like the real deal down to the menus. NeoGAF members did a breakdown of some of the differences on the box itself, logo presentation, and menu fonts to help spot some of the differences. So if you see a way too cheap NES Classic, as in it doesn't cost a couple times what it was supposed to, you might want to think again. Although, maybe if you couldn't find one in the first place, go for it. Apparently it's difficult to tell the difference. If you missed your chance at getting into Star Wars Battlefront 2's closed alpha, there is still hope for you. The game's open beta has been announced along with a few details. EA dropped this information in a new post on the PlayStation blog, revealing that the open beta for the game will run from October 6th through the 9th, but you can start playing a couple days earlier if you pre-order the game. Open beta players will get to experience the galactic assault on Naboo that we saw at E3, as well as a multiplayer Starfighter assault game mode, which hasn't really been detailed yet, so this will give you a good chance to determine whether or not Battlefront 2 belongs on your holiday shopping list, which, judging by the game's release slated for later this year, is probably a pretty lengthy list. There's a lot of stuff coming out. But is Oculus Rift going to be completely missing from that list? Is it curtains for the VR headset? In the midst of the still developing lawsuit where ZeniMax is demanding a huge cut of Rift sales because they did win that judgment in the lawsuit, looks like those sales are, well, not so hot, so they might not get all that much out of it. The Rift just got a massive price cut. It's second in the last year and is down to just $400 with its touch controller. That's a $200 price cut from $600 and half the price of what it would have cost at launch. And you'll notice that the new $399 price point is more closely matching the Rift's biggest competition, the PlayStation VR headset. Oculus content VP Jason Rubin spoke with Reuters about the price cut and said that it has nothing to do with weak sales. Sure, weak sales or not, you can pick up a Rift for super cheap right now if you really want it. There are some cool VR experiences out there to have, and they're starting to get affordable. Now, do you remember a little game called Half-Life? Well, apparently, believe it or not, so does Valve. Yes, the company that used to make video games actually released an update recently for the very first Half-Life game. Kotaku reports that there wasn't anything really major in the update, just some crash fixes, but it's pretty interesting that someone at the company still acknowledges the game's existence. Not even gonna make a Half-Life 3 confirmed joke here because at this point it just hurts too much. In addition to some of the other drama associated with the game, there's been plenty already. Friday the 13th's community is now up in arms about how the developers are handling bans. At the moment, there's no reporting system present in Friday the 13th, so Gun Media is relying on users to supply them with emails about players behaving badly. It's by no means a foolproof system, which has led to a couple sticky situations like the one the community is currently arguing about, which is basically it's a huge he said, she said. On one side, a gamer was accused of sexual harassment and inflammatory language when he got mad about other players breaking the rules, and on the other side, Gun Media is being accused of preferential treatment since the people breaking the rules were actually industry colleagues of theirs. I'm not going to pass judgment on either side because, again, it's two sides yelling about something that no one saw. But either way, it's another bump in the road for a game that's already had a few pretty visible bumps in its very short life so far. Should probably add some in-game reporting, guys. Just a tip that's kind of standard now, even if you're an indie early access game. Emails. emails. A fan project that lets you create your own Mega Man levels is set to release in 4 days. 4 days! They did the thing. They announced it before they put it out. Can it beat the inevitable DMCA by Capcom? The project is the work of a 7-person team and basically uses the assets of classic Mega Man to allow users to build their own levels. Definitely looks cool, but we'll see if it survives. Even though there's a disclaimer saying that Mega Man is Capcom's property and this work isn't affiliated with it, nor is it being commercialized. We'll see if that's good enough for Capcom's lawyers. Best of luck, guys. Usually, they don't consider that enough. But you look really cool. Could Wonder Woman be headed to Russia for a Cold War sequel? Screen Rant is reporting that the story for Wonder Woman 2 is going to be set in the 1980s, with Diana battling the Soviet Union during the last days of the Cold War. The site also reported that DC writer Jeff Johns is developing the sequel with Patty Jenkins, who directed the first movie but isn't officially signed up yet for the sequel, or if something has developed since she said she wasn't officially on board. They haven't announced it yet. It would definitely be a cool setting for the sequel to take place. Hopefully, Wonder Woman will be battling commies with like a side ponytail, leg warmer, some really cool tights. You know those like leotards that they wore for aerobics that like went up to like here? Speaking of the 80s, get your Walkman and your Dungeon Master's Guide ready. We finally got a release date for sweet season 2 of Stranger Things. Netflix tweeted this morning that the new season will debut on October 27th, just before Halloween. Meanwhile, the Stranger Things account tweeted a too short teaser trailer showing the 4 kids biking down a road towards an ominous-looking red sky, which in the poster shows the outline of a creepy-looking creature. Oh, and there's the tagline, "Some doors can't be closed." Spooky. Can't wait. I'm so excited. The first one kind of took me by surprise. I think it took us all by surprise, but it was fantastic. Now, watching porn. This is also a little bit surprising, but watching porn in Russia just got a lot more personal. This story is ridiculous, and I love it. The adult site Pornhub now requires users in Russia to log in using social media accounts that are linked to their passports, which is unsettling. It's super weird. The changes come as the site's been in an ongoing feud with the Russian government, which blocked Pornhub last year, saying it was detrimental to children. That's led to fears that it might be a way for the government to spy on citizens, which makes sense. You can learn a lot about someone based on their porn habits. Anyway, good luck, everyone in Russia. Try not to think about the government watching over your shoulder when you're, you know, busy. Time to pour one out for Gangnam Style, guys. It recently tragically lost its title as the most viewed YouTube video of all time, which I didn't think was even possible, but here we are. The new champ? Well, that would be See You Again, a 2015 Wiz Khalifa song, which now has more than 2.89 billion views. Why so popular? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The song is off the soundtrack for the movie Furious 7, and it also has a bunch of clips featuring Paul Walker, which basically kind of makes it a tribute to the late actor. So that makes it kind of a sad milestone, but it's still a milestone. Remember, Gangnam Style, they had to update YouTube's backend to account for the views because they never thought a video was gonna go that high. And this just beat it. So that is impressive, even if it is also sad. All right, that's all the news we have for you guys today. Let us know what you think of all of these stories in the comments down below. To make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every single day, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. Revealing that the open beta for the game will run from October 9th. Now, big news. It's not, no, it's not VR news, but you know what it is? I can't, you know what? That was a terrible transition. But either way, it's another bump in the road for a game that's already had a few very visible